Welcome. My name is Katie Burke. I am the founder and host of the Modern Priestess movement, and today I'm honored to present a conversation with my sister, with a woman I really look up to, Lisa Lister. She's an author. I just finished her book, Love Your Lady Landscape. I was thoroughly impressed and would recommend everyone to check that book out. She has other books as well that you can find at her website, thesassyshe.com. Lisa was everything and more that I was hoping for this conversation. She is just such a refreshing embodiment of everything that I love about the divine feminine awakening. So without further ado, here's Lisa. Welcome everyone, I'm Katie Burke and we have Lisa Lister here today. We are chatting all things priestessy today.
Yes.
and of course a little bit about Lisa's book that I have right here with me that I was saying before we started recording, I just love not only this book, but just the energy from this book too. After I started reading it, I was like, oh yeah, I want this one around me. I want it like in my pile of books near me when I'm working in my daughter's room. It's such a beautiful, beautiful offering. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Yeah.
All pleasure. I am so honoured. I'm so honoured to be part of this conversation, this collective that you've brought together. So thank you. Thank you for being the priestess of bringing us all togetherness.
Yeah. That is my role right now, and I love it. It's very fun. This archetype, priestess, what do you feel, and what does that invoke for you, Lisa? Does that resonate with you, being a priestess?
So when you asked, it was so interesting, like when you were saying, and because I don't resonate with it at all, and like it's not a word that I use in anything that comes through for me.
Yeah.
Yet I know that some of my greatest teachers, Mary Magdalene, Isis, we're all priestesses, and we're all like real holders of space, and so I think that's what I see the role of a priestess being is like and I see it, and I think it's interchangeable as well, and people may argue and argue away, do you know what I mean? I'm like totally cool with you arguing away around it, but for me it just feels interchangeable with witch, with wise woman, with power source, with all of those titles, about just taking any of them actually. And priestess is a really worthy one, because I do believe that it, for me, if we're going to look at the terminology of it, for me it means like space holder, like being able to gather the women and hold the space. That's essentially, and then sharing the wisdom and imparting knowledge, I guess, but I think we just got to be playful with all of these and not get caught up in what they mean. I'm writing a book about witch. It's called The Witch, and it's just called Witch actually, but even the word and what that invokes in people is interesting as well, and we can get so clawed into what some of these words can actually mean, and how we should use them, and how we should respect them, and how they should be, I don't know, used in media copy and all of that jazz. And it's like, actually just feel into what it means to you.
Exactly.
Just feel into what it means to you. And like, I wouldn't necessarily use it in my everyday language, but I love what it invokes when I have to think about it. Like, you made me think about it. It was like, oh yeah, I've never really thought what it meant. And then when I thought of who the priestesses were to me, it was like, yeah, that's Mary, and she's my homegirl, and so she for me is like the ultimate priestess. So I'm all in. That's what it evokes for me. That's what it evokes for me.
Oh well, I love that you bring up that, it really, I say this as like it matters, but it doesn't matter. Like, it matters what we call ourselves. I think that there can be a lot of pride and a lot of sacredness and just a beautiful heart opening feeling with these terms. But I could definitely, there are days when I wake up, I'm like, I'm a witch today. I am, it's a very, being in these feminine lives, I think there's a lot of chameleon kind of energy that happens anyway, right? So we kind of put different things on, and then we take it off, and then we try, And you brought up Isis. That's my favorite thing about. She's the goddess of 10,000 names. She's a shapeshifter.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. So this is just one beautiful slice in the pie that I think can be a lot of fun to try on. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. It's
yeah, and I think as well when you're just saying that, it just reminds me of like that we're cyclic women, right? So and when we're cyclic, it means that we can come across as a massive contradictions, and that is as old as time as well. It's like you can label me that 1 week, you can label me that 1 day, you can label me that 1 hour, and in the next hour I'll be something different. And that's the beauty of that Isis, and that's of that Isis archetype, and all of the goddess archetypes with their many different facets. It's like this is the amazing thing about being a woman, and I think that's my concern and what I'm experiencing around language and all of that stuff is that we're still stuck in some real kind of patriarchal thing where and a word has to mean a thing, and then like that word has to represent this particular thing for this whole amount, like for whole of womanhood. That's not true. Like how it is for me is going to be completely different to how it is for you, or to some of the amazing women listening. Like a priestess, like they could have this deep remembrance of when they were here standing next to Mary Magdalene, at Isis's feet. They can have all of those remembrances of what that word priestess means to them. I can't tell who is anybody to say like no, this is what a priestess is. Like,
right. Yeah, it's just what it means to me. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why I love the conversation, and that's why I love what this is bringing up. In what it brought up in me was like, I genuinely don't know. And it was like, oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. I love that. Made Lisa Lister think about being a priestess. What was I? So, you brought up cycles, and this was something. When I was reading your book, Lisa, I was like, right, okay, I'm not this linear. I still, as long as I've been doing this, I still need that it's not, for me, I'm just speaking personally, that's like not ingrained yet. Like I need a few more years, I think, of people being like, no, you have cycles.
I don't think it's just you, Katie. Seriously, this is my work. This is what I'm here to do. It's my personal medicine.
Yeah.
And yet every single day I need reminding, because we live in this world, Right. But if we lived up a mountain, if we were able to sit and chant all day and remember our beautiful powers and insights just by being able to be in a cave, awesome. But we're not. Right. We've got kids, we've got families, we've got to show up. We've got to live in a social media, impacted world. And so with all of these things comes this need for remembrance. It's just why it's so important. And in everything that I do is like, it's a remembering. Like we are remembering, like literally putting together the pieces every single day of who we were before we forgot. This is the work for me personally, but I can see it for so many women, and it's like, it's cool. Like we don't have to have it figured out. And again, patriarchy suggests that we should. Patriarchy suggests that we have this very linear, goal-orientated life. That means there's like an end result, that there's a right, okay, I've read Lisa's book now. She's told me this, and this. This is a 5-point plan. I can crack on. Good. Like, let's do it. It's like, that's but I mean, it's not anyone's fault, and there's no judgment in that. It's what it is. It's so, and it upsets me that that's the world we're living in right now, but it is the world we're living in right now, and we just got to keep showing up to it. Every single moment of every single day. And like, there we go, there's a remembrance. Okay. And sharing, and just keep having these conversations.
For me, it started to feel like I had this like I want to almost say it's like this tight grip on something, and things like your book and this remembering, it helps that loosen a little. And I start to like, okay, and like all my shoulders are, I'm like, wait, okay, that's right. And because you're right, there were moments when I'm reading your book and I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta maybe put a yoni steam in my calendar and like and I was getting so like, because it's exciting. It's really exciting.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's so exciting. But there is this aspect what you're bringing up right now where it's like, oh, right, but just like flow with it and like allow the flow and allow that grip to ease up a little bit and just kind of be with it.
I trust that you know it all as well. You know, I'm not teaching
Mm.
anyone anything new, right? We're women. Like, there is nothing new in any of the information that's coming up now. This is ancient. This is in our bones. It's in our blood, right? So anytime like you read my book or you read the work of other teachers that have come before, it's like that in itself is a remembrance. So then you do get excited. So it's the same for me. I'm like, oh yeah, like I've just rediscovered, like, you know, using my yoni egg, for example, like, and I'm really passionate about it right this moment. But that's because I'm listening to this one, and that's what this body wants right now. But then it doesn't mean that I have to also do the yoni steam, the yoni smoke, the 4 hours of, you know, she flow yoga, and massage my belly every day and do this every. I mean, who's got the time? Who's got the time? It's like, just remember that we've got toolboxes as women. That's the best part. You know, we've got access to all these incredible ancient tools and wisdom and mystery schools that are just beautiful reminders of like how we can show ourselves the big love, how we can nourish and nurture ourselves as women, so that we are able to show up in the world as whole human beings and not this fractured humans. And when I say whole, I don't mean perfect, by no means. You know, I work closely with the goddess Akalanda, and she is the goddess of never not broken. And I just like, I love that. Like, it's just, I'm never not broken. And when I know that, then I'm whole. It's like, then I'm whole. And it's like we're seeking outside of ourselves all the freaking time. Like, oh, I need that to make me feel better. I need to add that. I need to fill the hole. Is I a big hole here? Like, I need to fill it. Or there's a big void in my womb space. Let's push it down. Let's ignore the pain and all of that stuff and push it all down. And it's like, actually, I'm never not broken. I'm messy. Like, I'm a work in progress and I'm a masterpiece. You know, I can be all of those things. I'm whole. And then when we can just be like cool with that, it's like, oh, okay, everything else is a remembrance. Like, this like, okay, this month I might remember to do a yoni sting. Awesome. My experience of bleed will be so much better. If I forget, it's cool. That's why we're cyclic. We get the opportunity to do it again in a month's time. It's beautiful. Right. You know? Yeah. It's all beautiful.
Yeah. Oh. That just, thank you. Feels like never not broken. Never not broken.
Yeah, never not broken.
Yeah, I really like that. I really like that. I'm going to write that down somewhere.
It's the best permission slip. It's just, and it's not like any of us need permission slips, but when we do, it's like, you are never not broken. And in that never not brokenness, know that you are whole. It's like, like, complete game changer for me. She's like, she's the one.
Oh, yeah. So, you know, you mentioned our toolboxes.
Yeah.
I think that is such an important thing to always remember. I've got a little notebook in my purse where if something feels really great that I did, I like write it down, and it's kind of this little notebook, and it's kind of my, like, when I reach that point where I'm just like, wait, how do I feel better? You know, like, what do I need right now? And I don't know. I kind of open it up, and I've got like little things in there that are just, you know, like, little, right? But like, but it's like a written little toolbox for me, where it's like, no, remember, like, when you like take a really long bath or go for a walk, you feel better. It's good. And so, what are some favorites of yours? You brought up the yoni egg, but what are some favorite nourishing practices that you're loving right now for you?
Like a Himalayan salt bath.
Oh, yeah.
Like people keep saying like Epsom salts, and like, when I put Epsom salts in a bath, it makes me angry. And I think it must, and I don't know, like, I mean, I generally don't know, but like, it feels like it brings out a lot of my stuff, which I imagine it must be needing to do, but I'm a rageful person sometimes. So
you're like, that's not soothing, thank you, but we'll try something else.
I'm having a bath to chill. So what I found was actually using Himalayan salts just feels so much more nourishing to this body. So definitely the pink, and then adding rose and pomegranate oil. So that has been just such a lush combination for me of just coming into my body and you know, and putting rose petals in the bath, and really priestessy. That's how I feel like a priestess, is like ritual though. That's when he smells that smell, which may be ancient for him. I'm not actually sure. My husband is like, when he smells that rose oil in any kind of bath, he's like, oh, you're having a priestess bath.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, so that's cool. So that feels very priestessy to me. What other ones? Movement is definitely, like when you say like, oh, when I do that I feel better, because I think when you sit at a computer, well, for me, I sit at a computer quite a lot, writing and doing one-to-ones on Skype and things. It's just great and I love it, but sometimes I just forget to move my body. And then actually when I move my body, oh, it's so good. And so I have a practice which is more about like how it feels and not about how it looks. Spent a lot of time studying yoga, which is great, but also I'm fully aware that yoga, again controversially for some, is a practice that's been made for
your reflection of yoga.
Oh, did you?
I was like screaming hallelujah, like when and that's like right there, right in the beginning, and because oh yeah, I've already spoke to this just a little bit in this series about these like yoga wounds, where it was just like like I showed up to a class or something and I just left not feeling better. I left feeling like, oh, that was really forced, or that was really, I kind of just shit all over myself in that yoga class. Like, what was that? And it's just, I was so happy that you brought that up. And it was just a big fat permission slip for me. It's like, oh, remember what feels good? Do that. Like,
I just think I got so tired of going to classes and people are saying, tuck your tailbone under, do this, which is so unnatural for female form. That's all. And it's like, and it's so unnatural when we are menstruating for us to pull like big warriors and big like and hold poses for such a long time. It's so counterintuitive to what our body is asking of us, which is like, come down to the floor, be near Mama Nature, and so when we can start tuning into our body and understand and listening to what she needs. And so that's definitely, but again, like we were saying, it's beautiful. I know all of these amazing things myself. I share all these amazing things in my teachings and in my practices and when I go out and do workshops and things. But in your everyday life, when you're sat at a computer, you're typing away, you're like 3 hours in and you're like, oh, I haven't even moved my body. I haven't been a wee. I haven't drunk water. Like, so when you're asking what the nourishing things, those three for a start, making sure you wee, making sure you drink enough to wee. That is like looking after this one, looking after this vessel that you currently reside in. That's definitely the most nourishing I can do for this one right now.
Absolutely. So Lisa, what I love about you, so I've been following you for a little while, maybe like 2 years when I found your work. Yeah, and I just love you. And what I really love about you is that I feel like I can look to you and I'm like, she's a woman who's like getting the work in. Like she's getting up and she's writing, and like you to me are this great balance of like birthing these books, but also really like really staying very juicy and feminine and like grounded in that. So I mean, this sounds a little bit like a cliche question, but it's what I've just been wanting to ask you all morning, whereas how do you do that? Like, how are you this like you're definitely, I can feel your ambition, right? And your hunger to like, I've got things to say and I'm going to make the time to say them. And it's awesome. It's this like warrior energy, but also this beautiful like rose feminine, like, and it comes through in your writing, right? So it's this great balance. Like how are you doing that? Like how are you being a woman who's like just kicking ass and like working and doing the work, but also taking care of yourself too? You seem to be doing both really well.
I haven't got kids, right? So I'm going to be brutally honest that I genuinely believe, like, from working with the mamas that I work with, like, if I were to say what I'm about to say to them, I know that it's going to be, like, a lot harder for them to show up in the same way that I'm able to show up when I've got a Rich to look after, and he looks after me. And also that's a big part of it too. I have got a husband that gets it. Like, he is so in on this journey, this lifetime, and we are in on it together, and so everything is teamwork, and he is the masculine to my feminine. He holds the space, and so for example, like, I take a lot of the work completely to the feminine. I think we all know that the kind of the the ideal scenario would be that we kind of spend time in the masculine and the feminine, which is great. But actually, in order for so many of us, me specifically in this body, I used to be, you know, I worked in media. I wrote for magazines here in the UK and in the US. And so I was fiercely ambitious. You know, I was fiercely chasing that goal, but at the detriment of my health, at the detriment of this body. And like, I would eat emotions. So I put on lots and lots of weight. And I had crazy, like, period pains all the time. I was bleeding more than I wasn't, but I completely disconnected from it, you know, completely disconnected from it. So what that for me has been is, and then what I now call is, like, what I now speak of as the call, was from she, which is from the feminine, which was her saying that you need to come into your feminine, you need to, and she's always pulling me down. And like, that pain and that discomfort for me and for so many women is a wake-up call, is her kicking us in the ovaries, because we're not listening. You know, we're not listening. We're talking about like the divine feminine awakening, yet we're still taking part every single day in the dynamics of a patriarchal society. We're still showing up like competing against our sisters. We're still worried, like, oh, well, she's doing that, well, what's she doing? Oh my goodness, okay, so if she's doing that on social media, I need to be doing that. Just like the endless conversations that are still happening around that. And then so I take women's, like, from that end of like that spectrum all the way into the feminine. And so yes, the balance is there somewhere, but unless we experience that full-on feminine energy in our body, in our bones, like if we can wake her up and remember her in that space, then we can find that happy space in the middle, which, you know, it is a swing, you know, there's never like, oh, look at us, I've got this figured out. But in doing that, Rich has been amazing in holding some masculine structure around me being able to be that feminine. So that's what I mean. Yes, I'm dedicated to this work, fiercely dedicated to it. And that does mean showing up in a way that may be a big ask, possibly, for others, is what I'm saying. But that's what I'm here to do this lifetime. I know that. So I'm really happy to do that. And I think if kids come along, that would change the dynamic of how I'm able to show up. I think maybe having the foundations in place before a little one was to show up is a great thing. I'm not saying it's not possible with babies either. I'm just saying that I don't want people to think like, oh, she's got it all covered. It's like, I haven't, and I can't imagine how I would negotiate this if I had a kid right now.
Yeah.
So I just want to be like brutally honest about that. Like people are like, yeah, you can have it all. I don't think you can.
Oh,
quite frankly.
No. I mean, okay. Yeah. No.
Well, at the same time, at least, you know, and it's just about experiencing like what you need, what's important right now. And so for me, in the initial part of what you're asking, it's trust in this body is what is the main reasoning. So I work specifically with my cycle. So, you know, if I know in which parts of my cycle I can show up, like I can say yes to interviews, and I can say like, yeah, we'll chat today because, you know, I'm day 8 and that's cool. Like if you get me on day 28, that's not going to be so fun for anyone. Right. And so I know that about myself, and I know that about putting, you know, what I put out in the world. And so working that closely with my cycle has given me this incredible personal knowledge about how I'm able to show up, do and rest and be super, I'm probably more strict about time out and rest and self-nourishment and all of that stuff, because that's new behavior, but that's stuff that I'm having to learn. And that's the same for so many of us as women, is that that's new to us, like especially without having guilt and shame and blame attached to it, like, oh, I can't possibly do that, I can't take time out, I'm a mama, I've got a husband, I've got a busy career, like I haven't got time to go to yoga, I've got to drink coffee and just keep going. And like, I hear all of that. I was that, but I know that if I kept doing that, I would not be here now, you know. I just wouldn't be here now, and I know that. So
one of my very best girlfriends, her name's Lizzie, she's in this year, I think you would really love Lizzie. She's Lizzie Swartz, her website's awakewoman.com, and she just shared with me, she went on retreat. She kind of did, I think she did like a recommitment ceremony to herself, and she's working on a book, and what she realized in that was like, okay, so every hour that, and she works hard, she sits down and she writes hard. And so she said, for every hour that I'm doing that, I'm giving myself an hour of rest. So, and I was like, whoa, really? Like that? And that like kind of, I was like, really? You're going to do that? That's, oh my God. And she's like, yeah, I'm totally going to. I'm going to like, and so that was for her where she realized, she's like, yeah, this is big pushing and like big when she's writing, right? It's like just so much. And then she's like, and then I need to take time to integrate that and be it. And, so anyway, so I love, this is so fascinating to me with the women who are birthing books and birthing movements and, have big work that they want to deliver in this urgency. And then how are you resting and how are you feeling your, that's just so fascinating. It's just this particular moment that we're on the planet, that for me is so, it's so cool. I don't know. There's something about how we're doing that right now that just fascinates me. So thank you for sharing.
It's a great thing to be fascinated by. Like my husband's business is all about radical rest, and we call it radical because for so many people, rest is radical. You know what I mean? It's like the more fast-paced world we live in, like and time-starved that we are, especially as humans and our cortisol levels, it's like the rest is so necessary in order for us to do more. Because we'll just keep pushing and burning and then collapsing. Then you need like 2 years out of your life to mend. And it's like no one needs that. I mean, at least, but whereas if you can incorporate, I mean, your friend's ritual sounds like the perfect way to show up. Like, okay, I've worked an hour. And even if you don't take it straight after, clock it in and know that you can take that as a day later somewhere else. I love that.
I know, me too. I was just, that felt very radical to me, right? The radical, when she said that, I was like,
super radical. All of this is radical.
Yeah, it totally is. And because I said something to her. I was like, wow, that's very. I said, well, revolutionaries need rest, and she said, no, it is a revolutionary act to rest. Like that is. So that's, anyway, so this, again, very, very logically, it seems basic, right? It like seems so simple, but it's not that easy, right?
But
it's not that easy.
The way it's all very well saying it's logical, but like it's our mind that stops all of this stuff happening, because that's where we keep all of the blame and the shame and all of the stuff, like all the little messages that keep saying to us, you can't take time off, you've got washing to do, like you can't rest right now, you've got a kid to feed. You can't take time off, you can't rest now because there's other things to do, and there always will be other things to do.
Yeah, that's so true.
Always.
Yeah, it doesn't really ever end. What else are you, what else is on your heart right now, Lisa? What are you, so I know you're writing this book, which is super exciting, but I guess I'm just curious, kind of as we wrap up, if there's any other themes in your life right now that you're playing with, or archetypes, or just anything that's just really fueling you right now. I don't know, what's kind of the thing that's keeping you really fascinated?
Oh, I love it. I think the for me it's always is and always has been, like when you follow the breadcrumbs, like when you follow the breadcrumbs of she, of spirit, of source, of goddess, and who, whatever you choose to call it, I choose to call it she, and like where it leads. And so I think when I've been writing the books, the last year has been very, it's been very book fueled, but like the last once I handed it in, like the last month has been very much about, I've been on retreat, I've been reconnecting with my body, and like I gifted like in the way that your friend has, like I've gifted myself that, but actually like that replenishment, and I realised it's all it's about revisiting it, it's about revisiting all the things like we talked about at the very beginning. It feels like we've gone full circle about remembering who I am every time I forget. Because and I keep saying like, remembering who we were before we got, but it's like, no, it's not even that. It's like remembering every time I forget who I am. So I mean, journeys, goddesses, fun, like places, amazing travels, and just following my womb in all of that and allowing her to be my guide is there is never anything that can go wrong when our body doesn't lie to us. Like our mind does, our body doesn't. So following that is what's on my heart. Or that's all that's on my heart right now. And I love.
Thank you, Lisa. This was so fun.
Thank you.
This was great. This like flew by. This 30 minutes just kind of zipped right by. So this is, amazing. So right now, your latest book is Love Your Lady Landscape. You've got 2 other books, correct, that are on your website. So please share with us, how can we access more of you, follow your work, tell us everywhere
so my
that you are.
website is www.thesassyShe.com. Or you can just type in lisalister.com. It'll take you there too. I'm on Instagram, and Instagram is my favorite. I'm on Facebook too as the Sassy She or Lisa Lister, but on Instagram at Sassy Lisa Lister. That's where I have way more fun. So come
okay. Yeah, we will. That sounds great. Well, thank you for your time. This was really so much fun. I've been looking forward to this conversation so much. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.